morning, everyone. Hope you had a great weekend. Time to start our stretch break. And if you have a household item, good morning, everyone. Hope you had a great weekend and time to start our stretch break. Now, if you have a household item with a handle, we're going to use it for our stretch. I have my Swiffer, or if you have a broom, something with a handle that you can use for our stretch, go ahead and get that. To start out our stretch, we're going to work from our neck down, and let's lean our head over to one shoulder, and then roll back and across to our other shoulder. And again, roll back and across. Now let's take that same side hand, place it at the top here. We're just going to apply a little pressure. And again, roll back and across. Other side. And now let's look down. You can place both hands, apply just a little pressure. And now look up. And let's bring our shoulders up and roll them back. Now let's roll them up and forward. Now extend those arms. We're going to make circles forward. And backwards. And let's bring both hands forward, interlock, press away. And now let's grab that handle a little bit wider than shoulder width and raise those arms up. Try to come as far back as you can until you hit that restriction. Let's start to bend to one side. To the other side. Back to center. And now let's start to circle around. And then switch. Let's bring those arms down a little bit wider with your grip, and we're going to bring one arm up, the other arm up, and again, circle around and down, other direction, circle up and around, down. One more time for each side, circle up, around, down. Now see if you can bring one arm up, down behind your back, up, and then switch. Other arm behind your back and down. Good. Up. One more time for each side. And now as you go around, circle that opposite hand down, so behind your back, and again up, around and down the other side. See if you can come all the way around. And then switch. You may have to just place your hands a little bit wider. That helps us work through the entire range of motion at the shoulder joint. And now let's set that handle out in front of us. And we want to hinge at our hips, lean forward, straight arm. We don't want to put too much pressure down, especially if it's not stable. So focus on that hinge, extending that arm. You should feel a nice stretch with those lats. And let's switch. And again, switch. One more time, switch. And now let's step 1 foot forward. We'll place both hands on that handle. Push those hips back. This is a hamstring stretch. So we want to focus on one side, and you should feel that stretch on the back upper portion of your leg. Now, holding onto this handle, you're able to sit those hips back more, get deeper into that stretch, while also helping to maintain your balance. So let's switch. Other leg. And we do want to try to keep that leg straight. Keeping that knee locked out, toe pointed up. Now you can really sink into that stretch, and as you have both arms extended, it's still helping to stretch out those lats. One more time for each side. Let's switch it. And switch. Now again, this can help us with our quad stretch. So just make sure that you have that balanced. You can have one hand on the handle, other hand we're grabbing that ankle or foot. Now with our quad stretch, we want to pull that ankle and foot up towards our rear. This is helping with our balance. Make sure that knee is tucked tight down towards the floor. We want to make sure our arm is extended. Now we can start to lean a little bit forward, and we can really get into that stretch, getting a real good pull. And let's come up out of that stretch, switch to the other side. So now just focus on getting that ankle or that foot, tucking that knee in tight down towards the floor, having that arm extended, pulling up for that stretch. And now let's start to extend, leaning forward, really getting into that stretch. Good. So let's come out of that. One more time, each side. So switch it, get into that quad stretch. Start to lean forward. And try to lean as far forward as you can. You don't want to lean too far forward where you lose your balance. but you want to lean far enough that you're getting a really good, really deep stretch. And let's switch it. Good, so let's come out of that stretch. Next up, we're going to take a wide stance, and we're going to go into a side lunge. So right now, we're going to push our hips back, a little lean forward. We're bending one knee, keeping our opposite leg straight. Set that handle off to the side, take that opposite arm around, and we want to lunge as far to that side as we can. Now see if you can bring that handle around back even further and stretch. Good. Now let's bring that handle behind our back. We're going to stay in that side lunge a little bit wider than our shoulders. Let's start to lift that handle up and behind the back. Lift those arms as high up as you can. Good, let's come up out of that stretch. Switch it over to the other side, into that side lunge. So we're bending that knee, keeping the opposite leg straight. Reaching into that stretch. Now see if you can place that handle even further behind and stretch. Good. Let's stay in that side lunge. Bring that handle around behind the back. See if we can place those hands a little bit closer, about shoulder width, and start to lift those arms up behind the back. Good. Let's center. We'll keep our wide base, with our torso up in the middle. And we're going to start to hinge like we would go into our hamstring stretch, bringing those arms up behind our back. And then let's slowly come up out of that stretch. And then set that handle off to the side, walk those feet in. We're going to go back into our hinge, to our hamstring stretch, our forward fold. And then slowly coming up out of that stretch. Next up, we're going to do a calf stretch so we can use that handle. We're going to have 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. We're going to focus on that back foot, driving that heel down towards the floor. So we're getting into a forward lunge position. But again, focus on that heel, drive it down. We can have our hands on the handle here. So you should be feeling that stretch from the ankle to the back of the knee. Let's switch. Drive that back heel down towards the floor. One more time, each side, switch it. Good, and switch. Good, and relax. Set that handle off to the side. Next up, we'll do our wrist stretch. Fingertips up. Down. Other side. Up. And down. All right, great job everyone. Hope you enjoyed the stretch. See you next time.